Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison with Our Blooming Catholic Life. And if you're like my friends and you've seen the complexity of the Liturgy of the Hours, the 4-volume, the 1-volume, how do you rank liturgical feasts? Like for so many people, it's overwhelming. Even with apps that walk you through it, they're just not also tech savvy. And they want to be able to pray the Liturgy of the Hours. They want to support this great work of the church, right? It's how we pray unceasingly. We have the Mass, and then we have the Liturgy of the Hours, right? Liturgy of the Word, Liturgy of the Eucharist, Liturgy of the Hours. And so people are recognizing more and more how important this ancient prayer of the church is. And yet, if you're not in a congregation, it can be very difficult to figure out. Once you get involved, there's certain things that are certainly easy, but there's always these weird little technicalities. Again, if you're in a congregation, your congregation has the way they do it, and so you do it that way. But if you go to another congregation, they're going to do it slightly differently. Like I'm a secular Franciscan, and how I pray at my area may be slightly different than how another secular Franciscan in another country is going to pray it, or honestly, even a different area. Especially because I normally pray it on Zoom with friends, and we have a particular way of doing it because we can't all talk together at the same time on Zoom. And so we've developed this back and forth method. What I have found works. Oh, also, if you go on a retreat and everybody's brought something to pray the Liturgy of the Hours, somebody may have traditional, somebody may have 4 volumes, somebody may have an app, somebody might have Christian prayer, shorter Christian prayer. Even if you have traditional ones, like you might say, oh, bring your little office to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Well, there's 3 here. I've got another one on my Kindle. And then I've heard that there's Carmelite versions as well. What are you going to do? You're going to decide on one. That's what I'm going to say. First of all, this one looks the fanciest. So you may want this one. And you know, this is the one I don't really care for. And this one also has difficulties praying in common because it has like pray this psalm or that psalm, and it gives you options for antiphons, but it just says or, and there's no reason why. And so you're going to have to discuss that before you can pray here. And so that's going to get confusing. And so I'm going to set that aside. Sorry, there was a Michael's coupon in that book. Woo-hoo. I have to stop by there. Yeah, that's still good. That's just from the other day. It was very exciting. So I'll be honest with you. Okay. Don't judge me. This one fits into my fanny pack where I have my EpiPen and my rosary and my Narcan and all that stuff that I carry just because I do. So this one fits in that pack. So when I go to Mass, oh yeah, my veil's also in the pack. So when I go to Mass, I can grab my chapel veil, I grab this, and so I'm going to pray out of this one in church. No lies. It just has that super flexible cover, and it fits in there. So this is the one I end up praying in church most often because this is the one that's the most portable. You can see it's just a hair smaller, honestly, but being a flexible cover, it's stiffer. I don't know, this one fits in the fanny pack. So that's the one I pray at Mass, pray it completely by myself. They are very similar. The Latin English translations are a little bit different, and the explanations of how to pray it, I don't know that one's better than the other. They honestly, where this one's lacking, this one has. Where this one is lacking, this one has. So I think they really complement each other. And if I'm praying in the middle of the night, I honestly use the one I have on the Kindle, which is the traditional one, not in accordance with Summarum Pontificum. It is the old one. And honestly, what's different? Let's stop and talk about what's different, why I like that one. For one thing, the antiphons are given in parts. They used to be, you'd get like one line of an antiphon, and the antiphon is a little phrase that you say before you pray a psalm. So you would pray an antiphon, you pray the psalm, you do a nice glory be, right? And then you're going to repeat that antiphon. It like opens and closes that antiphon, right? And the interesting thing is, I really don't know why they changed it. The antiphons used to be like one little line that would kind of start your mind working on unpacking the psalm as you're praying it. And then when you get to the end and you're ready to repeat the antiphon, there's an extra bit. It's like it expands on that thought. So in the beginning, you're contemplating a little bit of that psalm. So you have that as you pray, and then it kind of wrapped it up by having the full one. Now in all the books, they have the full antiphon, beginning and end, and they feel like that wasn't enough. So in America, they added psalm prayers. Oh, like it got crazy, just like everything else. When they took away all the gestures of the traditional Mountain Mass, you no longer have to hold your hands in prayer. They took out a bunch of kneelings and signs of the crosses. And what have people done? They've added in hand holding. They've added in this. People just added gestures back in. They took gestures out. People put gestures back in. So they took out the extended antiphons and added psalm prayers. I don't understand why you're doing that. Quit monkeying around. So also the other thing I really like about the traditional one is some of the hours end with extra prayers. And it does tell you they're optional, but there's a prayer for prayer with Saint Joseph, and then there's the commemoration of the saints. You also remember the deceased frequently in that one. And so there's just extra prayers, and again, they tell you they're optional. They are lovely. And I may write them out in little index cards and include them in these two books just so I have them. And sometimes they're in the backs of these books, but then you have to remember where to turn, like conclusion of the prayers, a little office. It is added like in the back here, they have some, but then you'd have to have a ribbon, and there's no ribbon. And then if you start adding bookmarks to this one, you lose its portability. This one does have 2 ribbons, but it's only 2. So I could lose more. And again, I'm already jamming things in here, and so it gets a little crazy, and I need to stop jamming extra prayer cards in there. Let's see. So I wanted to show you, a friend of mine wanted to start praying, and I showed her the different offices, and I had a feeling why she wasn't praying. And I was right. It's just too complicated, friends. By making it easier, they made everything more complicated. And she's a person praying it by herself, not in community. So she's not going to have the guidance of the community when she's starting to pray it. And again, I think she'd seen this one, and all the oars and stuff really threw her for a loop. That didn't help, friends. But this one, remember, I'm not judging this one. This is just normally in my pack. I'm recommending this one to her because of its durability. It's got a little bit, I don't know if it's leather or a leatherite case. This is going to hold up better for her, and it has the ribbons. I did recommend this one. We're actually importing in notes from this one that I've penciled into this for her. It does have the Latin and English, and she's been wanting to learn Latin. So just like this one, it's columns of Latin. This one has columns. I think this one is pages. So that's a variation for people. See, the one page is in English, and then the facing page is in Latin. So the size of the print is different between the two. So if that's a factor for you, that could be the deciding factor. This one may be a little bit more readable. I like this one being side by side. I do. And she wanted to learn Latin, so that was helpful. This one also has a lot of notes in red. Does this one have as many notes as you go along? It does. They have a lot of notes in red that are kind of explain it as you go along. So what this doesn't have is like what hours roughly you would pray. See? That gives you the title, but doesn't tell you roughly when to pray them. And then Office 1, the explanation's in the book, but it's in the book. Why not write it out? Office 1 is Ordinary Lent and Easter. The variations, and it does mean variations. So we're going to start in the same place, but there's going to come a time where it says, if you're praying Office 2, go to this page number. And what is that? Advent and Annunciation. If you need the variations for Office 3, that's Christmas Eve to Purification. Oh, to Sea of Purification. That's Compline, to Compline of Purification. Can't even read my own notes sometimes. If you were wondering, this is Baronius Press, and this one I think is, this one is Angelus Press, if that makes a difference for you. So you are going to want to go to page XVII. My ribbons have been moved a lot, but I normally have my blue ribbon here. On one page is prayers that you would say beforehand, and the next side of the page. It's prayers you would say after. So I like to keep my blue ribbon there. And my yellow ribbon I consider as the sun, and I move it as I go through the day. So we're going to look at the little office of the Blessed Virgin Mary for matins and lauds. That is what we are going to look at. And this has been a long explanation, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop this here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop this and make this a video, and I'm going to make the next one, and we're going to do some more walkthrough videos. I do think you needed that background again. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I thought you needed that background of which office to pray, and then we're going to jump into it. This is the one I'm going to use. This is the justification video of why we're going to walk through this one together. For my friend, it's more durable. It is still going to fit in her purse. I know what purses she uses. And it has the ribbons, and so I totally recommending this one for her. If she says the print's a little too small, then we'll flip over to this one. But we'll get her some ribbons and things if she does that. Goodness, friends. It seems confusing again, and I really want to encourage you to give it a try. Go ahead and watch. These videos are going to be airing on Fridays. So while you're watching this, go ahead and order whichever one you're choosing. If you're choosing this one, order it, because this is the one I'm going to do the walkthroughs of. If there's a popular demand to do a walkthrough of this one, I will do that as well. God bless you, friends. Get out there, order your book. It is Baronius Press. Get out there and order this one. I think this is available from EWTN Religious Catalog, because it has the Gregorian chant. Don't worry about that yet. We're not going to get to that for a while. God bless you, friends.